Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and you don't want to miss this because Erik ten Hag has been given £200 million as his transfer budget and it could get bigger. So get your calculators out because I want you to clip that. I want you to come back to that because this is the information that we've got and I'll be very surprised if it's not proved to be correct. So I don't even care if you want to clip that. Get your calculators out, you can add them up. 200 million plus for Ten Hag this summer. Plus, as well as 200 million plus, Kim Min-jae. Newcastle are apparently favourites to get Kim Min-jae. We'll talk about where this is coming from and we'll talk about whether it's true and how likely Man United are to miss out on Kim Min-jae to someone like Newcastle, where it is generally conceived or accepted, not conceived, we're not doing anything like that. It's generally accepted that he will be coming to the Premier League this summer. We've also got some comments from Erik ten Hag talking about that massive game that this time next week will either be an extra time or we'll know whether we've stopped Man City winning their treble. Erik ten Hag's been asked a direct question about that and we will talk about that as well. But let's fly straight into the headline. Erik ten Hag's £200 million transfer boost. We were talking this morning about where some extra revenue is coming from for United because of the Champions League. I have it on very good authority that Ten Hag will have at least £200 million to spend this summer. At least £200 million. And that can be added to dependent on sales. So that's good. That's good. And this is nothing to do with sales. I mean, this is nothing to do with the sale of Manchester United. We're talking about sales of players. So 200 million. And then if you sell 5 or 6 players, you know, we're talking the Maguires, the McTominays, the Hendersons, the Williams, and who else we don't know, then that could go north of £200 million. So keep that in your back pocket. Get your calculators out over the summer, add them up, and we'll come back on August the 31st and see if that information's right. If you'd have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd have said nonsense. But no, this is what United are planning to do. This is why United are speaking to people like Mason Mount, Declan Rice, Harry Kane. You know, those people have all been spoken to. And there are others that they're speaking to as well. Kim Min-jae, to mention one, which we'll talk about in a moment. So if you think about those 4 players straight away, I mean, it'd be very unlikely you'd get Rice, Mount, Kane and Kim Min-jae. But if you did, you're north of £200 million easily. So Man United looking to go big. And you know what? We can all be pessimistic about it and go, I don't trust the Glazers, I don't trust the gym, I don't trust, you know, whether that'll be allowed to be spent because of financial fair play. We can all say those things. But bottom line, Erik ten Hag deserves it. I remember saying, probably towards the end of last season, when Ranić was in charge, and he mentioned open heart surgery. And I remember us having a chat on a live show, and we were trying to figure out how much money Manchester United need to spend. And I think, well, how much do you think United need to spend from this point to challenge with City? So we'll revisit it. How much money do you think United need spending on that squad to challenge with City? There's a quick question for you, and we'll read some of you out. But I remember a year ago, we were saying, 400 million from Fitness Balance. Joe says 300 million. Savin says 250. Jonathan Reed says 500 mil. We need to be as ruthless as Bayern. Glazers out says Andre. Huzzy says 450. CJI says 600. A few people saying 800. Gordon did. I actually think about 600 million. Yeah, I do think about 600 million because I remember a year ago saying, I think we need $1 billion spending on that team. Because Ranić was right. It was a whole new team. And that doesn't mean everybody goes. Obviously, I want De Gea, Varane, Rashford, Bruno. But we do need 10 players. They won't all start at the same time. Look at Man City. You know, you need probably 4 for your bench and 6 for your first team. And we've got, at the moment, I think we've got, from the 5 that he brought in, Eriksen, there's a question mark long term. Is he a bench player or is he, you know, is he even that? Is he a first team player still? Malacia, obviously still a work in progress. Martinez is fine. Anthony, you know, let's see what happens next season. I think he'll be fine. Casemiro, yeah. So I think that we've spent 250 million. I still think there's another 600 million that needs spending. Yeah. Because I think we need another 6 good players. And the good players cost between 50 and 100 million pounds. So yeah, I think we still do need a lot spending, and that's why when, you know, I don't listen to what rivals have got to say about our club. It's our club, it's their club, you know. But I think when people say, oh, well, God, man wants another 250 million. I want another 250 million this summer, and I want another 250 million next summer. The most important thing is that it's sustained over 3 or 4 years, because you can't do everything in one summer. We couldn't do it last summer, we can't do it this summer, and we won't be able to do it next summer. So I think 250 last summer, 250 this summer, 250 next summer. That's your 3-year plan. And then every year after that, you've got to be doing what Man City do, which is just go and get one player. I mean, I've heard that Man City could be going for Kimmich. I mean, Kimmich, I don't know whether anyone watches the F1, but Kimmich going to Man City is like Verstappen finding another second to take off his lap time at Red Bull. They're already way ahead, and they're getting quicker. You know, that would be crazy. So look, there is no part of me that is reluctant or embarrassed or, you know, greedy when I say, yeah, we should be spending 200 to 300 million pounds this summer. I know we did it last summer, and we need to do it next summer as well. We've got to buy the players. They're not there. We will develop some. Garnacho's come through this year. I think there's a couple who'll come through next year, hopefully. But we're not going to be able to. They're not ready to go for a few years. You've got to go and buy that talent. Read my message on last night's show. Yes, 24 years yesterday was the treble night. GCSE Maths Grade 5 doesn't help, says Red since 1975. Don't worry, mate, we know what you meant. And I could easily see the Glazers only half selling, keeping themselves at the head of the table. If it is half sale, United won't change their stripes, says Jake. Thank you very much, Jake. Well, I don't know. But ultimately, what I do know is that you can get your calculators out. Got this from a really good source today. Manchester United. Sort of followed it up from the morning show. Manchester United, Erik ten Hag will be given in excess of £200 million. In excess. Suicide Blonde. If you know, you know. I couldn't think of an In Excess song. But he will be given in excess £200 million. And I think, however you're thinking, because you know what? If you do get the Glazers staying, what are you going to do? Just cry in your garden? We still want to be competitive next year. So look, I don't want the Glazers to stay. I think it's disgusting if they stay. But if Ten Hag is given in excess of 200 million, at least that's something that he can build on. Because otherwise, it all falls apart. I disagree. Liverpool one summer spent nothing and won the league and hardly spent anything last summer and challenged. I just think you need the right football people in and you can find cheap quality players, says Nathan. I seem to remember that Jurgen Klopp spent quite a lot of money building his team. Liverpool, I think Jurgen Klopp's done a very good job, you're right. But he's not been able to sustain it, is it? We're looking for sustainability, Nathan. We're not looking for 1 good year or 2 good years. We want to do it for a few years. Kane, Højlund, Mount, Kim and Rabiot and a free is around 250 million. We can easily get those players and maybe another with player sales. I'm optimistic about the summer now. Keep up the great work, says Oz. And of course, you know, there is a double-edged sword to this as well. If Manchester United... not only is there going to be money available for Ten Hag, and we don't know the source of that money. It could be a promise from Sir Jim. It could be a promise from Al-Thani. It could be the Glazers doing it themselves. I don't know where the source of this is coming from. But there is also a demand for these transfers to be done quickly as well. So, you know, that's a positive as well. Sed says, how are we getting 200 million when we have much more financial fair play rules this year and we have 750 million pounds of debt? I'm not the CEO, mate. I can only tell you what I've been told. And I know, because I've been told it today, and I know we're talking to players. So how we do it, I don't know. What did I say? I simply said, I don't know how we're doing it. Maybe because Qatar are coming in. Maybe because Sir Jim is coming in. Maybe we're borrowing more money. I don't know. But we get your calculator out and come back on August the 31st and figure it out how we've done it. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know. We are in a massive amount of debt. I think the debt actually technically comes to about £1 billion if you add it all up. Financial fair play is there, but you can manipulate that. You can manipulate that with sales. Look, financial fair play, Chelsea have spent loads of money, but selling people like Mason Mount will massively help them. You're one of my kind, Mark. That's in excess. Well done, the Society. But how are we talking about a budget of 300 million when the club is still in sale talks, says the Society? Because you've got... Yeah, I get that. I do get that. But you've got to... Erik ten Hag will be saying to the club, you can't not do anything over the summer while you're trying to sell it. Like, it's got to be a going concern. And I know we didn't do anything in January and that people thought, well, maybe we might do that in the summer. And I was one of those. But ultimately, United always plan for the summer. It's one of the things they need to change under their new ownership. I mean, the director of football will openly, publicly say, we like to do our business in the summer. It's bloody, it's Jurassic Park, that is. It belongs in prehistoric times. We don't like to do business in January. We like to do it in the summer. Oh, do you? Do you like to sit outside after 4 o'clock when the sun's gone down a bit to wear a sun hat? Which you should do. You should be safe in the sun. But the reality is, these tired old intricacies or habits need to be binned off. We don't like to do business in January. I agree with you, Mark. My point is sometimes good football people work long term. I agree you need to spend, but Liverpool bench was average. Shaqiri, says Nathan. Nathan, I know you're a Liverpool fan, but I don't want to do it the Liverpool way. It's not been sustainable, has it? I'm not watching the playoff final because I'm going out in a minute, Liam. So swivel on that one. And to be honest, I couldn't give a shit who wins between Coventry and Luton. It's I don't really care. I mean, both of them, whoever goes up is going to be nailed on for relegation, aren't they? They might stay up. They might do a Bournemouth, but I'm not bothered. Couldn't give a shit. Let's move on to something I do give a shit about. Kim Min-jae. Now, there is a story coming out this afternoon. I think it's a Portuguese journalist who I have never known get anything right, so I'm not massively bothered straight away, but a few people mentioned it to me, that Kim Min-jae will be coming to the Premier League and that Newcastle are leading the race at the moment. Well, Manchester United have put a lot of groundwork in for Kim Min-jae. Newcastle competing with Manchester United for signings was always going to happen. They're in the Champions League. They've got more money than us. Of course they can compete with Kim Min-jae. If you think you're going to get Goldbridge saying Newcastle have got no chance of getting Kim Min-jae, he's coming to United, why would he go to Newcastle? Unfortunately, as much as I would like to do that, the honest answer is I cannot do that because Newcastle have that ability like Man City have had for the last decade now, where they can get those types of players. I think football has changed in the last few weeks. I always said if Newcastle get top 4, all bets are off. They can actually start going for players that they wouldn't have been able to go for a year ago. They couldn't get Kim Min-jae if they'd finished 6th. But now that they finished in the top 4, they can go for Kim Min-jae. They might offer him more wages. He might go for that. He might fancy that. I mean, look, Kim Min-jae, South Korean, does he really care about Newcastle, Manchester or London? I don't know. Some people would go, I don't want to live in Newcastle, I want to live in London. Some people would say, I don't want to live in Manchester or Liverpool, I want to live in London. But I don't know here. What I do know is United want Kim Min-jae. If Newcastle are entering that race, then we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't think we can be arrogant anymore and say, oh, he won't go to Newcastle, he'll come to United. I think we do have a pull, and I still think we've got a bigger pull. I think if United do their job properly, you go look at the manager, look at the team, look at the club. It's Manchester United, where we want to build something big, and we want to be part. We want you to be part of it. On the other hand, Newcastle, quite rightly, will say, we're in the Champions League. We are going to win the title in the next 5 years. We're going to spend money, and we want you to come straight into our team and play next to Botman. You will be straight in our first team playing with Botman, and we want you to be a star of our team. And we're going to pay you good money, and we want you to come to Newcastle. That might be attractive to when Man United is saying, look, we want you to come to Manchester United. Will I be straight in the team? Yeah, you've got a good chance. You've got a good chance. I mean, we have got Varane and Martinez. So it could be that. All I'm saying is, it doesn't change. It doesn't alter anything on the money we've got to spend. But it doesn't mean we're going to get every deal done. Like, Mason Mount could end up being persuaded to stay at Chelsea. Declan Rice could decide to stay in London and go to Arsenal. Kim Min-jae could decide to go to Newcastle. We'll just have to wait and see. If we miss out on Kim Min-jae, who would be your second choice central defender, says Darren? You know what? I don't really know, because I think that we've got Timber's a very different style of centre back. Buy players with instalments, more players in, says Frederick. Yep. Kunde, says David. I mean, I think Arahu, or Araho, I never can pronounce his name at Barcelona, would be dream. Pau Torres, says Tank. Do we need a left-footed centre-back, though? Because if you did, you could go for Ndika, who I think is out of contract this summer. Some people have mentioned Bella Kochup, who I think is also I think, is Bella Kotchup left-footed or right-footed? I think he might be left-footed. So, do we need a left-footed centre-back? I don't know. But there'll be other options out there. But, you know, as I say, if Kim Min-jae is the player that Erik ten Hag wants, then Kim Min-jae is the player we should be getting. We don't want to start missing out on players to Newcastle. But it will happen. I mean, look, I hate to say this. If we get bought by Althani, we'll get Kim Min-jae. If we don't get bought by Althani, he might go to Newcastle because they've got a different ownership model, of course. The one thing I haven't mentioned is the striker position. Of course, if we miss out on Harry Kane, where do we go then? I would like to go for Victor Osimhen. I don't know whether United would. Actually, I saw Ferdinand saying that you know, he'd like Kane or Osimhen, but Kane would get you 25 goals a season. Whereas Osimhen, there is a bit of a risk that he's never played in the league before. In fairness, he did say that's the only risk, and he did say he liked him. But you know, I don't see that as a risk. I mean, will Man City go, let's get Declan Rice over Kimmich because he's never played in the league before? I think it's very obvious that Osimhen at 24 is one of the best strikers in the world. He's probably not where Kane is at the moment on reputation, but he's done it in France. He's done it in Italy. It's hard to do it in Italy as well. You know, it is hard to do it in Italy. He'll do it in the Prem. If he comes to the Prem, he'll score goals. Whether it's at he will score goals. It's probably not as big a slam dunk as Haaland. I mean, Haaland was never going to fail at Man City, and I don't think Osimhen would fail at Man City either because they're a great team. But I think whether Victor Osimhen goes to Man United or Chelsea, he will be a slam dunk as well. He won't fail. He's got too many aspects to his game that suit the Premier League. In fact, in some ways, his game is more suitable to the Prem than it is Italian football. Italian football can be defensively, traditionally, and stereotypically quite tight and slow. The Premier League is more 100 mile an hour, lots more space, you know. So I think Osimhen would be fine. I get the point though. Harry Kane guarantees you 25 goals a season, but Victor Osimhen's 6 years younger, and I think he can do that as well. Paul Woolley's just gifted a membership. Thank you, Paul. Watching Mark while building Lego Old Trafford, can't complain. Says C4. I've still got mine to build. It's in the loft. Kolomwani or Ramos is what United should be looking at, says H. Ken, and we might be. You know, as I said last night, we are looking at Ramos as an alternative to Kane. I believe Osimhen, Chelsea will try and get that deal done. People say, why would Kim choose Newcastle over United? Reason for me is both finished top four and both got in the finals, and players know long term Newcastle is better for them. Their seasons were no different. Yep, Nathan, I mean, at the end of the day, that's why I say I'm not going to disrespect Newcastle if they are in for Kim Min-jae, and that's a big if, but why wouldn't they be? Then I wouldn't be surprised if he chose Man United over Newcastle. I'd hope we can win that. I would hope that we can win that, but Newcastle are just Man City. Did Man City struggle to get Aguero? Did Man City struggle to get De Bruyne? Did Man City struggle to get Haaland? You know, Newcastle are going to replicate it. A little bit of breaking news. Garnacho's been called up to the Argentinian national team. This was always going to happen anyway. I think we reported it a few weeks ago when he wanted to go with the under-20s. There was always the story that he would get called up for the national team in the June internationals anyway, so well done to him there. Also got a few quotes from Erik ten Hag coming in. He says, I expect Marcus Rashford to renew. He wants to renew. Man United want him to renew. He is a child of this club, so I assume that will happen. I think this was an interview that Ten Hag did with a Dutch outlet. He says, I'm happy that finally Manchester United in Rashford have a player that scored 30 goals, but next year the numbers have to be higher. I love that from Ten Hag, the obsession to make things better. He says, I'm expecting Lisandro Martinez back at the club in the coming days. He will be ready for the start of pre-season, which is great news as well. And this is the big one. He was asked about the FA Cup. Blocking Manchester City treble dreams. Well, this is about us. This is about us winning the FA Cup. This tournament is huge in England, and I want to give our fans this trophy. I'm fine with that. Ten Hag, you know, saying they want to win the trophy, that's all that matters. It's fine if that's their angle. For us, the angle is to stop Man City. I get why Ten Hag will try and move his players towards the trophy than stopping Man City, because stopping Man City can be a mental thing, can't it? Let's stop Man City. Whereas actually you're trying to win something. So let's win the trophy is probably a better mindset for the players and the manager to be in. let the fans deal with whether we're going to stop Man City or not. So I agree with him on that one. And it's going to be a big week after Fulham tomorrow, building up towards that. I think this is going to be the biggest FA Cup final in years. We've never had a Manchester Derby final. This is a final that effectively stops Man City or helps Man City win a treble. So it's huge. It's great for the FA Cup. I don't think the FA Cup has had so much riding on it for years. It's absolutely massive. He also said, this was interesting as well. I mean, look, I did the preview this morning for Fulham and I said, look, Maguire's got to play, McTominay, Fred, maybe we get a few farewells, get some of the younger players involved. I really don't care. It's Fulham at home and I think we can still beat them with a bit of rotation. But Ten Hag has said, we want to beat Fulham at home. I want this team to break the record of winning the most home games during a season in the club's history. I didn't even know we were up for that. I didn't even know that we were up for that. It's great. Absolutely great. I genuinely didn't. I was today years old when I found out that Man United had the chance to win more home games than in our whole record. In fact, I almost felt like saying, has Ten Hag got that right? Because I'm thinking, we've won titles with Sir Alex. How have we won more home games this year than any other season? I just don't know. Then again, you think, well, we've dropped a lot of points away from home, but it can't. I don't think that can be in our history. But that's what he says. I want this team to break the record of winning the most home games during a season in the club's history. So that can't be right. That can't be right. You think about all the titles we've won. 14-3-1 at home. 19 home game. I'm surprised that... look, that's incredible. That is incredible, and you can understand why he wants to do it. Sure, we drew one game, one run rest about 15 years ago, says Robert McCormack. Well, there'll be somebody in the chat who can tell us that, but Daz says it's right. We're adding cup games in as well, I think. Okay, it's not a league record, it's home, including cup games as well. It's still a record, isn't it? It's still a record, and it's because of all the home games, says Stuart. There you go, in the cup. So, yeah, it's not... I'm more about the home record in the league, really. But, look, it's a big achievement, and I think he'll try and win. I just hope he doesn't chase that record and pick all the best players. You can't risk injuries, says Rusty, and I definitely don't want to. But it's still good, says Joe. Yeah, it is. Look at Napoli last year. Bet they have far lower wage structure than Milan and Juve, says Keith. And Old Trafford as a fortress is a start, though, says Soham. Look, Ten Hag's mentioned it. Some players has mentioned it. The fact is that these players have... the club, Old Trafford, the fans have really... Look, Ten Hag was the fans' choice. A lot of people who wanted Poch were calling it the E-fans online, wanted Ten Hag. It wasn't. Every fan who goes to fucking Old Trafford is on Twitter. You know, you see them. So Ten Hag was the fans' choice. And that not only exists online, it exists in real life, home and away. The fans love Ten Hag. And that has been represented by the atmosphere that you've seen home and away. And the away atmosphere is always, I think, the best in England anyway. But at home, it's a lot better. It's a hell of a lot better at home this season, and we all see and hear that. And it's great that the home record has reflected that. It's my birthday today, says M United fan. Thank you, mate. Sorry, happy birthday. No, it's not mine. Happy birthday, mate. Hope you're doing well. And Mark, who is going to buy Man United? I don't know, Incognito. I purposely said we're talking about what we've spoken about. I don't know who's buying Manchester United. I've got no idea who's buying Manchester United. And as soon as we get any reaction to that, we will let you know. But interesting on Kim Min-jae, but bit of positive news on a Saturday night. Look, if you don't believe me, it's fine. Get your calculators ready. I know it's coming from a very good source, and I know that Man United will spend in excess of £200 million this summer transfer window, regardless of who's in control. Even if the Glazers haven't decided they're selling until September, we'll still spend in excess of £200 million. How they're doing that, I don't know. I can only pass you on that information. So Add it up as we sign players. But we'll spend in excess of £200 million, and that's the preparations that Man United are making. And obviously, it makes sense. We're talking to Mount, we're talking to Rice. We would pay for Kane. We want Kim and Jae. So look, it easily goes there anyway. Thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate that some people want to watch the playoff final. I don't. I appreciate that it's a lovely day in the UK, and hopefully it's a lovely day wherever you are as well, and some people want to be out enjoying it. I certainly do. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all a little bit later. Thanks for watching.